Friends, today we focus on dialogue in the church and society. It is a very important topic that the church in this journey of synod or synodality invite us to consider properly. And we go step by step. First of all, we try to see why dialogue is part of perseverance. This is one of the points that we find in the document. So practically, the document Synod on Synodality identify in this point dialogue a kind of perseverance. We can say those like me, I have a long experience of dialogue. I believe if something I've done is because I'm convinced, I'm persevere, but this is a suggestion in general of the church. This is a point, a weak point, because sometimes in the church in general or in relation with other people, people think, I did my best, no answer, no solution, no, I cannot go on. No. If you are convinced that that dialogue is important, you have to be persevere. In this context, the document give some guidelines to be persevere and tell us it requires silence and suffering. I believe this is an experience that we have to do on personal level, on the level of groups, on the level of the church. We can say in many occasions we are not successful in dialogue because we believe that we have to talk and to make arguments. The document talk about silence and suffering. And when I read this, I was quite surprised. It's really the real meaning of a deeper dialogue. So we have to follow. Of course, each diocese, each group has to consider this aspect. The other suggestion that comes from this document, it is a bold dialogue to gather together experience of person and people. So practically, when there is this really attitude of dialogue based on silence, suffering, so a long process, we can experience that experiences of person or groups are there. So in this condition, what is the next point that we can consider and the church suggests to us? What are the places and the modes of dialogue within our particular church? Because this is, I can say, the central part of this point of dialogue, church and society. We have still to learn how to dialogue between the church and society. It seems that we are not fully prepared, and this synod of synodality is a great challenge to be educated, or if it's needed, to be re-educated in the context of dialogue in a Christian context. So now, first of all the places are good occasion of dialogue. This is a reminder for us, because in reality we think that dialogue is only a formal occasion in that specific occasion, and after we do not consider other possibility. We know sometimes people say agreement are solved between the agreement, means In between, there are ways, so we can say, preparing a good dialogue. When it's the right and formal time of dialogue already, the partners knows each other, they build friendship, they build trust. It's a good occasion to build a lot of good things. In this context, the document reminds us dialogue can solve difficulties and conflict. If we consider in the life or history of the church, we cannot go to the different stage of the division of the church or conflict, but we can say are there. When we talk about ecumenism already, mention some of this, why so many division among the Christian. And in this context, we can say dialogue can solve really difficulties and conflict. So probably if we reflect and be honest, as a church, as a Catholic church in the history, of course we accept reality, but if in that time, in that occasion, that group could have a better approach, we could avoid many misunderstandings that unfortunately are part of the history of the church, the history of this Christian church separated from Rome because of this and that. So dialogue really can solve difficulties and conflict. And of course, we are here, the Synod on Synodality help us to say, okay, you face the reality now, and from now you move on. The other advice that we find in this document very wise is dialogue is needed to promote collaboration with neighboring dioceses and with among religious community in different areas. And that is the reality. Probably if we are in a discussion among our group, we can say really our relation with this diocese, with this religious group, with this movement group in the context of the church, it's not so good. But why? Most of the time, because those who enter in dialogue do not enter with that attitude of humility. Sometimes there is an attitude of superiority related to the others. But if we remember that the church reminds us that we are a community of believers supposed to be in that way. And so this is a really important point. Of course, if we go in details about religious community in different areas, we know how this community competing with the other community, misunderstanding with the other, God knows the divisions, sometimes with all good intentions. So we do not think of bad intentions. Sometimes in some elements there are also strategies that are not very Christian in the spirit, but sometimes things happen like this. Another advice that we have from the document, dialogue is also reaching out association and movement. If we know about the structure, if we remember the structure of the church, the basic structure that is more visible is the diocese with the parishes around. In the history, we have a religious community that collaborate, but they have their own identity, their own way of doing things. Could be a religious community, have a private school or an orphanage or another activity. The other point that is becoming more urgent today in this context of evolving the many association and movement in this more recent time, we can say from the Vatican II up to now, these 50 plus years, we can count the growing of so many association, movement, especially lay groups, and there is still in the church that sense of difficulties to accept fully the lay people because the category of clergy or religion still believe in a certain way, a certain superiority, but in the church we are one, respecting the, we can say, the duty and responsibility of each one of us. So I believe those in diocese, in parishes, in group, when they're in this reflection or dialogue on synodality or the synodal church has to consider this seriously. The other point is what experience or dialogue and share commitment we have with believers of other religions, because this is a great reality. In some way, inside the church there is a certain structure, a certain organization, a certain way of understanding each other, but it is relatively new in the church to have contact with believers of other religions. Means if we put in the context of Mindanao with Muslim who are really visible in different areas, or other groups who are other religions, so we cannot identify as a Christian group, but they are other religion. They have their identity, and we have to respect them. So, what is our relation with the Buddhists? Just in the Philippines, the Chinese community, of course, it's identify a community of business, but the background is Buddhist or more or less Oriental religion. And what is our approach? There is any value to have this dialogue, or sometimes we have this kind of temptation, say, okay, this is it's not a religious affair, we are talking about this and that. We don't need to talk about religion. No, we don't have to talk, but we have to act as a people who believe in that kind of spirit. And for the Christian spirit that love, understanding, we can say in many ways. We can go on in this reflection with the challenge. There are many initiatives, movement, and effort of interreligious dialogue. And what is our journey? In this context, I'm happy that thanks to God, long ago, starting from 1984 up to now, so many years, we started in Zamboanga the Silsila Dialogue movement that is already known as interfaith group, or especially Muslim Christian in the context where we live, and there are many groups in the context. Other groups emerge in Mindanao, in Manila, in other parts, and we are here. What we do with all this beautiful experience? The document tells us that we are also, there are obstacles in reaching out to these people. So, in reality, the idea of interreligious dialogue, it's not so simple. There are obstacles. And there are also beautiful initiatives. One of the initiatives is the World Interfaith Harmony Week, initiated by the United Nations in 2010. And thanks to God, we in Zamboanga, we took the lead because we were convinced of the spirit of this, the love of God, the love of neighbor, the love of common good. So we were so passionate, and thanks to God, beautiful things happen. Now, next we can say, with all these things, this part of this that talk about dialogue in the church and society, at the end indicate some point to consider, and of course indicate like a bullet idea. Or for instance, one thing is how does the church dialogue and learn from other sectors of society, like the world of politics. So many things to learn, how we can contribute in a real spirit, not to compete, but to be like the voice of conscience in society, in politics. The other point that is very important is about economics in many sectors. We know that economy already is like the big giant of the society. Unfortunately, because of business, economy, reflection, people sacrifice even values and sometimes even religion. So how economics could be a way to improve, but in the real spirit? And the other point that indicate by this part of the document, it's about culture. It's another big chapter that I hope in our groups, if we are in a diocese, in a parish, in a group, we can say what is the culture here, how we really deal, and also what is our culture, how we deal with our culture to another culture, and also the civic society. And the document, this part of document say, etc., means we do not end there. And as a conclusion, we can say really, this is a very important point in the Synod of Synodality. And I hope and pray that we take seriously this in the church, in communities, and will be a kind of inspiration, no matter how it's difficult, but we cannot avoid to say, never mind, I have my sector, I don't care about society. No, the church and the society has to dialogue. I hope and pray that we learn more about this concept of dialogue, and I hope and pray that this effort, this formation program. Friends, today I have a pleasure to have with us a dear friend, member of Emmaus, but she is a person with a certain experience that help us to deepen together the topic of today, that is dialogue in church and the society. Why? So, welcome, Edna Banwa, Doctor in Education. What do you think about this meeting? When I invite you, you were surprised. Why you were
Yes,
surprised?
Father. First and foremost, Father, I would like to thank Father for giving me this opportunity. It's great. No, it's great for me to be here to share with you my experience, no, as a person who is in dialogue. Okay, Father, at first when you called me up that you're going to ask me to come here for a sharing, and you gave me the topic on Synod on Synodality, I was, what's this? At first, I do not know what is Synod on Synodality. I forgot about it, although I heard it.
And you studied.
And you studied,
Very good.
I read no about it, so I understand what it is all about because I have already an experience about it even before, even when I was young until I became what I am today.
But you, no matter you don't know so much the document before, now you know more.
Yeah.
Your life is a good model. This is why when I came to my mind about this dialogue in church and society, I said maybe Edna is the right person. Not only because you are a committed member of Emmaus, and you also are a teacher in our Emmaus College of Theology, English, and of course you are with EPED in a responsibility in a school, important school in Zamboanga. But you come from very far away. Probably many people in the Philippines, they do not know where is Siasi.
Yes,
What is Siasi?
Actually, Siasi is one of the municipalities in Sulu. It's near almost Tawi-Tawi, Father.
Yes.
And I was born there.
Mm.
I grew up there. Siasi is a small municipality with dominated by Muslims, but there are Christians there, Catholics. Although I myself, no, I am a mixture of Christian and Catholic because my father is a pure Muslim and my mother is a Catholic. So they got married. It's a mixed marriage, Father. So we grew up in Siasi, but my mother brought me to Zamboanga this time. So it's only this time. So actually we grew up in Siasi with Muslims, but our way of living, our relationship there is good. No, there is respect, although there is understanding. Although I'm a mixture of Catholic and Muslims, but the people around me, as if we are like brothers and sisters, although we have a different faith, we played together with my playmates before.
Yes.
But when it comes to our faith, we go to the church and they also go to their markets.
I remember you in my journey around the country. One time I arrived in Siasi. People are surprised, say, "You are a foreigner in that isolated place."
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you are also
Yeah.
surprised. Even I went on the back, La Minusa.
Oh, Father?
Yes. Okay, it was a good experience, not only because I met the group, the priest, the Bajau community, etc., but I saw really what you say, the model of dialogue. That probably in other islands it's not the same, no? But now, thanks to God, that is your experience. And yes, you are maintaining your identity as a Christian Catholic, and I know some of your brothers are still Muslim, all this mix. So this is what we have to learn, how to dialogue in society. So it's not only words, but also life. Now, we enter in this topic. The topic is a dialogue in church and society. Do you think that in the church, as you know, there is enough dialogue between the church or society, and what you dream more in that line of more dialogue?
Dialogue of the church with the society, Father, no. As of today, as based on my experience, because before I was active in the church, so I could really feel that there is dialogue. As a church leader, I was once a church leader when I was young, so I could, I have witnessed, I have experienced the dialogue of the church with the society. But now at present, although I'm not anymore, no, in this time, that as active as before in any church organization, because I am here with Emmaus, no, I came here, but what I mean in the parish, no, in the parish, I'm not that anymore active, but I could see that there is also a dialogue. Why, Father, no, especially in this time of pandemic, because I always go on for live stream masses,
Yes.
like that, and I listen to some announcement in the church. So I am somewhat I am updated. No, I am updated on what's going on with the church. But on the only thing is that parang it's not really it's not really that sufficient. I think there is
But
a need.
you participate to the mass.
Yeah,
of course.
yeah, Father.
Now, in reality, this is what synodality is. There are beautiful experience of people committed like you that has to say we are church, no?
Yeah.
Because in reality, that is one of the challenge. If we are really committed in this journey of synod or synodality, we have to put together just an example. You know well our journey as Emmaus.
Yes.
It's a lay association that has a spirituality. Of course, have been encouraged by the bishops' conference, by the bishop, but still in the church there is not that great knowledge that a certain group of lay could be very relevant. No? This is the reality of some institution. So it's a great challenge. Now the point is, yes, in general, the church has something activity and society. Okay, how you see society and the church in general today in our midst?
So as I could see, Father, that the church actually, the church is not really, when we say that the church should be separated from the society, no, as they say. But I could see there is the church should have the role also for the purpose of maintaining or maintaining, sustaining the morality of the people, something like that. And so they should understand, especially in the political aspects, something like that, Father, no? So they should come together.
I can say like the soul and the body, no? There is the need of the soul and the body, no? The harmonious relation, no?
Yes.
And so this is the great challenge. What we can do more to make this journey more visible, more clear, to invite many Christians to be more part of this, no? Of course, now the great in this moment there is the politics, etc. Of course, there is a great debate between separation of church and state, but of course the church say yes, but you have to remember what is the moral value of the society, etc.
Yeah.
So, what you see in this contest, what is your dream as a committed Christian?
My dream, Father, is that both the church and the society will what's this come into what you call this, a conversation, to listen, no, to listen, no, maybe to the plight of the people, no, to what the people to the people's voice, no, something like that. And there should have a two-way, no, communication, that they could understand one another for the betterment of the country, for the improvement of our economy and everything, Father.
When we say communication, dialogue,
Yeah.
so practically we are people who have to be the dialogue in
Yes.
action. No, it's the spirit of dialogue. So, in fact, this is the mission. Now, if we put this in the context of your specific mission or vocation, you are an educator. So, how many years you have been teaching?
Actually, in the private school, I'm already 23 years
Ah,
older
okay.
and 9 years in the private schools.
Okay, 23 years, 9 years.
32,
So
32
you
years.
you are still young, but a long career.
Yes,
A
Father.
long career. So you along the way you met a lot of people. You can say contradiction, good experience, and so you are in the good stage of good experience to move together. What we can do more, because this is always our journey, even we are doing this program, it's not just for the others. The first thing I will challenge those who are close to us and say what we can do more, because we started this program saying the aim of spiritual journey is sounding the line of going on the road. It's what the Pope Francis journey, synodality, is moving on the road, etc. These are beautiful things to say, but when we go to the reality, for instance, Zamboanga, it's a reality. We cannot ignore that Zamboanga, it's not Siasi. We have passed stages of difficulties. The last big one is the siege in 2013. And still in the heart of people there is that sense of separation, fear, etc. What we can do more?
Maybe, Father, what we could do more, no, maybe to reach out, especially to all baptized Catholics, then to bring them together for a dialogue, for a common good, no, for seeking for God's kingdom, for the truth, and for the glory of God. We have to call them all together to be in our.
We can start from the young people,
Yes,
because that is the education.
Yeah.
What do you do in your school?
In school, Father, actually, as of this moment, no, as of this moment in this time of pandemic, what we are doing is really for our learners to learn. Although it's difficult on their part, because in this modality that we are just giving them modules for them to learn at their own pace. But sad to say, there are some students who really could not learn by themselves. So based on the feedbacks that we heard from the teachers, from the parents, that learners could not understand the modules, no, and parents do not know how to facilitate learning of their children. Other parents do not have the know-how, do not have the knowledge. In other words, they are not that equipped to facilitate learning of their children. So what we did, teachers in the school, we planned, we worked together, for an intervention on how we can help these children. So in this time of pandemic, so since we are adopting the modular learning modality, so the only means that we could reach our students is through phone calls, through text, through group chats. But I think it's not enough, Father.
I think you have a challenge and you have a position in the school to do this. We have been talking sometimes about this reality, how to, apart of the module or the strategies, how to encourage the teacher to enter in this spirit, no? Practically, of course, the mission of the teacher is a real mission, but how to encourage them to feel the mission, no? Because sometimes people or some teachers are exhausted, discouraged, no? So you have a great mission, because you are not only a teacher, a head teacher there in the setup, but I can say a good model, and we can I can say as a Christian, this is what Synod or Synodality, it's to be model of the Synodality, dialogical in other words, so that
Yes.
it's, and probably we go to a certain conclusion of this journey. It's not easy today. I can say we talk about Zamboanga, we can say in general, and you remember that we are in the 500 years of Christianity in the Philippines. What do you learn from these 500 years? What you recommend to the church? You do not have to say, I'm not a bishop, but in your own way, if somebody asks you, and now what we can do, what is your suggestion?
So, my recommendations or suggestion, Father, personally muna, no, I have to be involved, to be active in the church, and to show good examples to my colleagues, to my students, when imparting the knowledge we have based on truth, no, and in spite of the many works we have, especially as of this moment, we have to ask God's presence, the Holy Spirit, to be with us, to help us, no, so that we could do this with joy, with satisfaction at the end. Although it's very difficult for the teachers to prepare all this and that for the learners, but if we are offering all this to God, and I know God is always there with us, so after that, after all, with all these difficulties, then satisfaction is there for the glory of God, Father.
I think this is a good suggestion that our listener can remember. And now we conclude. What is your final message or wish for you, for this program, for the people who are listening this program?
My my vision or my dream for this program, Father, is this program will be successful. This program will be, we could reach out to the many to search for more, Father, to be with us, so that to seek for the kingdom of God, to spread the good news of God, and to remain faithful to our own faith, and to understand other people of different faiths, so that we could come together as one people of God, Father.
Very good. And we conclude with this message, really touching. In search for more, be a model for the others in this society, and for sure the Lord will bless us. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Edna,
Father.
and God bless you.